You're now enrolled in the School of Black Negro Jitsu. Is it your first day? Don't worry, the master, Leroy Stephen, and his co-instructors Dave, Mike, and Kyle will take it easy on you, rookie. Enroll in the School of Black Negro Jitsu right now. It's free. All you have to do. There's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you're on. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play. Hit subscribe, get enrolled, and you'll get completely free access to all of our classes. That's the School of Black Negro Jitsu. That's our main mixed martial arts class. Then we also have our two fantasy classes, the MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast and Black Market Picks. And we also have other offerings at the school, interviews, other random things. Enroll now. It's free, guys. Welcome to the School of Black Negro Jitsu Class 19. I'm your host, the master of Black Negro Jitsu, Leroy Stephen. And today I'm joined by my co-host, my co-instructors at the School of Black Negro Jitsu, Dave Mark. What's good, Dave?
What's up, Leroy? It's around 11:30 on the East Coast. I'm tired as hell, but want to get this episode out for all the fans out there.
And also, my special co-instructor for the day, my co-host for Black Market Picks, Divine Prodigy, a.k.a. Travaz Clark. What's good, Travaz?
What's going on? First time on the show. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens.
Welcome to the School of Black Negro Jitsu, Divine Prodigy. Excellent to have you. We've got a full slate ahead for you guys. Of course, we've got an interview with El Terra, Jimmie Rivera. We're going to run that at the end of the show. We're going to talk UFC 220, Nate Diaz return, a little XFL, Joanna and Jacare, Rose Namajunas, Tim Johnson is broke. Shit, man. What else is going on? Roy Jones might finally box Anderson Silva. Is this 2005? Why is that relevant? I guess we could do a little preview for the UFC on Fox 27, Brunson versus Sousa card. But yeah, we've got a full slate of things ahead. Let's go ahead and get into the UFC 220 preview right this second. I don't know if we're going to talk about every fight. Let's just talk about, well, first and foremost, Stipe Miocic surviving Francis Ngannou. Absolutely exceptional. Apparently, though, a lot of this is due to the fact that Francis Ngannou did not train wrestling. I mean, his wrestling didn't look that bad. I think it was more the fatigue that got him than anything. But if you're going into a fight where somebody's probably not going to, well, they could outstrike you, but they could more likely out-wrestle you, don't you think you would be training wrestling? Apparently his camp is saying that he loves to train striking. That's all he wanted to do. He kind of blew his load doing the striking. Man, Francis Ngannou had looked so unstoppable lately, and he just looked like trash on Saturday, man. What do you guys think? Travaz, I'm going to let you go first on this. What do you think of Francis Ngannou's performance? Let's not take anything away from the champ. The champ, Stipe Miocic, man. Possibly the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Well, I mean, not training wrestling. That's definitely a new move in itself. But I mean, I guess Francis probably figured what we all probably thought. If he connected, that the fight would be over. I don't think he thought that Stipe could take the power that he had, especially, after seeing Stipe actually, knocked out by Stefan Struve, who I'm sure Ngannou has way more power than. But of course, Stipe took the punches. His performance was very impressive. I mean, I myself thought that Stipe could not take the punch that Ngannou threw, but he did in fact take it, and he came back. The takedowns were beautiful. The way he just leaned on Ngannou just to help, so he could feel that pressure. You could tell the moment, in a sense, was too big, or it was time for Ngannou to get this schooling, like this lesson that he got, then stepping up to face an actual champion versus, like Andre Arlovski or something like that. And it's just Stipe showed why he's the best champion, like possibly ever. I don't really think Cain Velasquez or Fabricio, any of them, is going to really beat Stipe anytime soon. And I mean, Ngannou has a lot to learn. He said that he was tired, of course, by like the third round, but he said he was there mentally. So I guess being there mentally is a great thing, but he has a lot to take from this. Of course, this is a learning experience. This first loss, I'm sure he's going to be back because who else do you see probably in the heavyweight division really beating him? Maybe Curtis Blades again if they ever fought, but I don't really know. But it's a learning experience. He'll come back stronger from this. Hopefully he'll train some wrestling because it was too easy to take him down. But we already kind of knew that from the Curtis Blades fight anyway. So, I mean, we'll just have to see. But this is a good learning experience from being so young. It's a good way to learn.
Dave, what did you think of the fight?
So I'm going to agree in agreement with a lot of Travaz's points. I'm not going to say I called it because I didn't. I couldn't take a side. I basically said if Stipe comes out and fights a smart fight, then he's gonna absolutely put on a clinic and beat Ngannou. But if Ngannou connects, then Ngannou would win, because Ngannou's got that obvious one punch knockout power. But going back and watching the fight and also listening to Jack Slack break it down as well, a lot of Stipe used the jab very effectively, used the 1-2 very effectively to kind of keep range. He would kind of throw that jab, that 1-2. He would let Ngannou throw a counter bomb and then kind of move out the way. And he basically weathered the storm nice and early. We didn't see Francis ever get troubled or in troubled waters, right? We used to watch him end fights in the first round outside of Curtis Blades. So Stipe basically let him throw everything he could in the first few minutes and then just pieced him up on the feet, took him down, did basically everything he wanted to at will when taking him down, using some doubles, using some of those snatch-like singles. And like Travaz alluded to earlier, I think he did a great job of just pressing Ngannou up against the cage, kept using that kind of elbow in his neck, that lean on his head, kind of cutting off the circulation and making Ngannou use up a little bit more energy than he needed to, just wearing on him. And Stipe came in with an amazing game plan, and it didn't seem like Ngannou had anything to counteract that game plan. I think that Stipe may be the best heavyweight champion we've seen. I think every single fight that he fights, he just seems to get better and better. We've seen him knock guys out. We've seen him be able to go 5 rounds. I honestly think he could have probably finished the fight. I think I saw some opportunities where he could have possibly tried to take Ngannou's back. But I think he didn't want to risk anything. He knew that he could just wear on him, just ground and pound, and just continue to, not let him pop up, not let him use any energy, because it looked like that was all Ngannou could do, was kind of just, kind of buck and just blast up. He didn't have any answer for Miocic's wrestling, and I think Stipe put on a clinic, and right now I don't see anybody in the heavyweight division that could beat that guy.
Yeah, Stipe did do a lot of leaning on Francis Ngannou. He didn't do a terrible job trying to get back up, but just not good enough. Daniel Cormier with a predictable win over Ozdemir. Calvin Kattar, the Boston finisher, finally found a finish in this fight. Very impressive. Rob Font put Almeida away. I'm not too shocked. Almeida didn't have the best chin. Kyle Bochniak ruined a lot of DFS players who are high on Brandon Davis. Why? I don't know. Abdul Razak Al-Hassan welcomed Sabah Hamasi to the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu. He's alumni. Glad to see him with one of the nastiest KOs of the year. Dustin Ortiz, I told y'all. Islam Makhachev, the Gleason T-Ball, obviously is off steroids. He has no chin left. UFC 220 was a great card. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Don't know why I faded Stipe and played. I don't know. But let's get on to our next topic here. We've got UFC on Fox 27 coming up. Jacare versus Brunson. This is a rematch of a fight that happened some years ago. Jacare absolutely destroyed Brunson. I don't exactly know why they're running this back. I guess there's similar points in the rankings. You usually only see somebody versus somebody too when it was a close fight the first time, but whatever. Andre Fili is going to be taking on Glassjaw Dennis Bermudez, Gregor Gillespie, Jordan Rinaldi. Is there anything that stands out to this card? Mirsad Bektik will be back. Nico Price will be back. What does he do well? But finish fights? I don't really know. But he finishes people. And yeah, I don't know. This is an underwhelming card from the standpoint of names. UFC has to do a better job of promoting their fighters and putting cards together. I don't even know what regional relevance this is. In North Carolina. I think Derek Brunson is from the Carolina area, or is he?
He's. I think I don't know if he's from North Carolina. I know he trains out of North Carolina. I believe he resides in North Carolina. So I think that might be the relevance of them actually having that card there.
Okay, so that's got some regional relevance to it. But other than that, maybe some of these other guys are from the Carolina area. But I couldn't imagine because there's no big gyms there. Nonetheless, should be fun for daily fantasy sports. But any of you guys got any opinions on this upcoming card, Travas?
I definitely don't know why I'm seeing as many bets on Brunson as I'm seeing. Like, I think it's ridiculous. Even if you know, we all saw the first one. I think that ended in like 11 seconds. Of course, Brunson just came charging in. But even if he doesn't come charging in like he did in the first one, even if we see a more calculated Derek Brunson, I do not think that Jacare, the result will change. I think just Jacare will take him down and eventually get a submission. I don't see what really Derek Brunson has to offer. You really can't use the Robert Whitaker, fight as an approach of what Derek will do to him. They're two different people. I don't think Derek is as technical. He has the power, of course, but other than that, I mean, Jacare still has a chin. He still took a few of those punches before he actually went down. I don't really see why people are betting Derek Brunson, but I guess they're just believing in the power. He beat a Lyoto Machida that's like 40 years old now. I mean, Jacare is up there in age too, but I think Jacare has less he's less done than definitely Lyoto Machida is. Jacare can still be top 4 in this division. And I don't think Derek Brunson should be top 4 in this division. So it's a mismatch to me, but I just don't see what the bettors on Derek Brunson are seeing at all.
Dave, what do you think?
First, I'm going to say I think I'm going to like Travas being one of our hosts because I think him and I are going to be in agreement a lot. I sadly actually do enjoy both these fighters. They're actually two of my favorite fighters. I don't know where Jacare is at after taking that beating at the hands of Robert Whitaker, but I do agree with Travas as well. He doesn't have the same mileage on his body that Lyoto has, right? We know Jacare to kind of take fights to the ground and usually finish them there. He's not the type of guy I feel like has taken a good amount of punishment in his career. With that being said, he is getting up there in age. I think Brunson, and I say this time and time again, I think Brunson's got all the talent in the world. He's got a decent wrestling pedigree. He's got plenty of pop in his hands, but he's got to be one of the stupidest fighters I've ever seen. By that, I mean just no ring IQ. Instead of panic wrestling, he likes to panic brawl. Usually comes charging in with his chin up and just gets pieced up and knocked out cold. I do think we're going to see a closer fight than the last fight. I'm not going to bet it, and I probably have exposure both ways in DraftKings. But I do see. I'm thinking that Brunson might actually edge out a decision if he fights smart. But with that being said, if he reverts back to usual Derek Brunson, I think Jacare finishes this on the ground.
Yeah, I don't know. Outside of a first-round knockup, I don't necessarily see Brunson's avenue to victory here. He does stop a lot of takedowns, but yeah, I don't have much an opinion on this card or anything I think is worthy of the school of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu, at least for this card. I guess we can move on here. Nate Diaz is apparently declaring that he will be returning, and Eddie Alvarez and Kevin Lee are trying to jump on the money Trizane. I guess I'm excited to see Nate Diaz coming back, but I don't know. I don't know if he beats these top guys. Nate Diaz has never been the guy to beat top-ranked lightweights or welterweights or wherever he's fought. He's never really been a top guy. I guess his biggest thing has been beating Georges St. Pierre. Conor McGregor. But what has he done since then? You know, who has he ever beat of note outside of somebody that he had a huge size advantage over? Are you guys happy to see Nate Diaz come back for anything but McGregor Diaz 3? How do you guys feel about him versus Alvarez, him versus Lee? I think both those guys beat him. You excited to see Nate Diaz come back? Travas?
Oh, yeah, okay. First of all, I think you're disrespectful to Nate Diaz. You shouldn't be disrespectful like that. Don't you do that. The guy beat Conor. He's paid his dues. And as far as him coming back, I think he's definitely a draw. So it helps the UFC in terms of their, what they can do with him at least. But as far as Eddie Alvarez and Kevin Lee goes, I think he pieces both of them up. I think Eddie Alvarez would be easy money. And Kevin Lee, with the takedowns could, potentially be a scare. But I think Nate Diaz will just, find a way to submit him. But, Nate Diaz, you don't give him enough credit. Though he has the bad habit of not checking leg kicks. Other than that, he's pretty damn well-rounded. He'll kill you with volume, death by 1,000 cuts. And Nate Diaz, he doesn't give a goddamn. And he'll say what probably most fighters on the UFC roster want to say, but are probably scared to say it. So that's why we love him. That's why he's at least endeared to me, and he fights. He's going to fight. He wants to fight. Like, he's not going to bullshit. He's going to give you his all. Like, he's going to whip your ass, and he's going to let you know about it, and then he's going to slap you. Like, who does that? Who slaps somebody in a fight? You know how disrespectful it is to slap somebody in a fight?
Yeah,
you don't know. You ever been slapped, LeBron? You ever been slapped in a fight?
He usually doesn't beat top ranked guys though, so I don't know if this might ruin a lot of the steam on the McGregor fight if he loses. Dave, what do you think about this?
So I think he's entertaining as hell to watch. Definitely entertaining on the mic, entertaining in the ring. I think. Or the octagon, sorry. I don't want to see him fight Kevin Lee. That doesn't interest me. I think him versus Eddie Alvarez is an instant classic. I think give him Alvarez or give him Justin Gaethje. I think that's a brawl too. I think either one of those two fights makes for a lot of violence. He is a big draw. I think the money he's demanding is a little ridiculous, but the reason why he supposedly hasn't come back yet. But I definitely want to see him back in the octagon, and I think him versus Alvarez would be an absolute brawl. If that doesn't happen, I would love to see him versus Gaethje. I don't want to see him versus Lee, but if either one of those two fights happen, I'm definitely watching either one of those two fights.
Why not get him like a warm-up fight to introduce him back? Because he's been gone for how long has he been gone for? Almost 2 years.
Who the hell is a warm-up fight for Nate Diaz?
Shit, I don't know any warm body. Listen. Bring him back, let the fans get reintroduced, and then give him a big fight. Why
reintroduce? No Nate Diaz. We have a lot of Nate Diaz to watch.
Do boxers do shit like this? Do they take 2 years off and then come fight a top fighter? No. They get a couple warm-up fights. We build hype for the big fight, and then we do that one. That's how you make the money.
You know who can do that? The mystic aura of the Diaz brothers. Nick Diaz can come back and get a title shot right now.
Kevin Lee is going to whip his ass. Eddie Alvarez probably might too. Like
Eddie Alvarez is not beating Nate Diaz. I don't know where you live at. I don't know. It's not happening. He's gonna kill him with the jab. Kill him with the jab. Murder him with the jab.
I guess, man. Let's get on to our next topic. Not only is Nate Diaz coming back, the XFL is returning. I'm excited. He hate me. I can't wait to see the names on the back of the jerseys. Dave, what do you think of the XFL return?
I think it's just as quick as it returns, is going to go back into the trash pile. It didn't work out the first time around. I don't think it's going to work out this time around. I think Vince McMahon is just bored and needs something to do. I don't know. The XFL, I guess, I found it entertaining when I was growing up because I was a kid. I think it's a little bit of a stupid gimmick. I don't see how it does well ratings-wise. Something they tried and flopped. I think it's going to flop again. So I'm gonna digress, and I'm going to let Travas take this one from here.
The XFL. See, now me, being I guess the young whippersnapper I am, I didn't even know there was a first fucking XFL. So I was like, what the hell? What is this one? It's coming back? When was it here to begin with? But I'm guessing it was like around in 2000, something like that. I was still like 6 or something. I don't fucking know. But one thing I can say is Mr. Vince McMahon. I'm an avid watcher of WWE, WWF, all that. I've seen all of that. Vince McMahon does it. He makes calculated moves. So if he tried this and it did not work, I honestly do not think that he would come back out and try this again unless he was sure and learned from the failures that made it defunct in the first place. And he clearly has some interest because Johnny Manziel tweeted out XFL with the eyes and Vince McMahon. So, I mean, if Johnny comes to the league, there's going to be instant buzz with that. If maybe somebody like Tim Tebow came, instant buzz. So I think, Mr. McMahon, as a businessman, one of the best businessmen, at least probably on this planet, I think the XFL, at least in this case, will last longer than it did the first time. And that's just based off the brilliance of McMahon learning from his past mistakes. The fact that no cheerleaders are going to be there, I think that might be an issue. But
there won't be any cheerleaders?
There will not be any cheerleaders.
What?
There will not be any cheerleaders.
Why not? That could be like a huge thing, like XFL cheerleaders, Raw and Uncut or something like that. They gotta search for angles here, man. I mean, it's gonna be hard to sell tickets to this shit. They should have the finest cheerleaders, man. I don't see they're leaving out cheerleaders. They're talking about if you get a DUI or something, you can do that shit when you have, like in the NFL. The reason why they do that is because they can recoup your signing bonus and like get money off you. And then they have 4 or 5 other people just as good as you behind you. Listen, if your league if you're the fucking XFL or the CFL, you need all the stars you can get, man. You can't have personal conduct policies and shit like that. What are they thinking?
It's Vince McMahon, damn it. He can do what he wants. I'm telling you, it's gonna go better this time. It's gonna go better. It's going to. He's requiring everybody to stand for the anthem, so I don't think we'll see Colin Kaepernick there. But
really?
Yeah, he's requiring everybody to stand for the anthem. If you play in the XFL, you have to stand for the anthem.
And Vince McMahon has he's a war profiteer. I remember Rob Van Dam got in trouble for not going to the Fight for the Troops event, and Rob Van Dam was talking about it. Vince McMahon is like the NFL owners. He's a white billionaire, so he's undoubtedly invested in military weaponry very heavily. I'm almost positive. So that's why he's doing that, because he punished Rob Van Dam for less when he wouldn't go to Fight for the Troops. But Vince McMahon gets paid for all that shit. So I'm assuming he wants the U.S. military. Vince McMahon ain't shit. I don't know. XFL is probably going to flop. He's doing everything wrong.
No chance. That's what they got.
Oh my God.
You said they got no chance in hell. I kind of agree. They're not giving me anything I want to see. Joanna Jacek has opened as a pretty significant favorite over Rose Namajunas. Miss Berry, aka
Thug Rose.
I don't understand why that should be the case. This is I can see it opening even or something like that. I don't think Jacek has any of the massive skills, advantages she had over other opponents. But right now, Jacek is a negative 190 favorite. She opened at negative 210, so she's dropping, which is good. But the champ is the champ, man. I think I don't necessarily think the champ should be favored, but this should be a more even line. What do you think of the disrespect to being shown to Rose Namajunas after she completely destroyed? I mean, there wasn't even no controversial decision. This was a complete destruction, within a round. Dave, what do you think, man?
So I think it definitely should have opened up closer. Like you said, I think it should have opened up around, minus 110 on both sides, and the book should have probably let the betting public start driving the line. But I don't get paid to make lines, and these guys in Vegas are a lot smarter than I am. I was listening to Thug Rose on Joe Rogan the other day, and basically, and Joe Rogan posted something after the DC and Volkan Ozdemir fight, where he was talking about part of the fight game being mental, and if you could kind of break your opponent in the lead up to the fights, then you kind of have a edge going into the fight, or that kind of swings the balance. And I think that the first fight, I think that Joanna coming out with that whole, she always comes out with her whole boogie woman shtick, and she really tries to intimidate her opponents and really gets in their head. And I think when she kind of came up to Rose, put her fist up to Rose's nose, and Rose didn't flinch, I think it had the adverse effect, and it kind of broke Joanna mentally. So I think we see a definitely more razor focused Joanna. I don't know who wins this one. I really can't call it, but I definitely think that minus 190 was way too excessive to open up on Joanna when we absolutely saw a destruction of her the first time around. Rose is also no slouch on the ground too. She's got pretty solid jiu-jitsu. So if she doesn't break her on the feet again and this fight goes to the ground, I don't know what Joanna's path to victory is after that first fight, but I guess we'll just have to watch and see.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shavas.
I'm sure the reason Joanna is favored is because they're just respecting her dominance that she showed previously before this fight, kind of like a Ronda Rousey type effect. They just basically, they might be looking at it as a fluke, which most. And I think the fact that this is a type of fight that will humble someone like Joanna and Jacare, and doing that whole boogeyman routine and all that. And then to come out and get beat the way she did and the fashion that she did, more nonetheless, I think this time they would anticipate if the rematch was to happen, it would be, like Dave said, a more razor-focused Joanna. You won't see none of that, that the boogeyman, or maybe not even none of the talking. Me personally, if it was me, I wouldn't change it, because that would let me know that she's just she's in my head if I'm changing the way I would normally do things. But I mean, you might have to feel like this is what has to happen, because she might feel like she's lost her aura now. She's lost her lust, that maybe she's been figured out or something like that, which I don't think is necessarily the case. It's just, and on that night, it was Thug Rose's night. But I think as far as the betting public, we still know that Joanna can strike. We still know that her takedown defense is usually pretty solid. It's just that at this moment, we thought nobody could really mess with her on the feet. And Thug Rose did what she did on the feet. I'm sure you thought maybe the ground game would have to come into effect, but the fact that she did it knocking her out, it was like, oh my goodness, how?
What if it went to the ground? I mean, we didn't even get to see all the fight. Rose Namajunas is a beast on the ground.
Yes, she is. I love Thug Rose. I love her. I love Rose Namajunas. But, it was just giving too much respect to what the dominance that Joanna showed, that she showed in her previous life. So if they rematch again, which they will, when they rematch again, if Joanna if Thug Rose beats her this time, you won't probably see Joanna as the favorite, probably against Thug Rose ever again.
Joanna's going to strike. She's going to 125 if that happens. So
yeah, she might. She just might have to. But it's just the respect for her body, her work, her resume, her body of work thus far. That's why she's the favorite. And they're anticipating a more focused, one that's more humble now. That's it.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Doesn't mean she's going to win, but, being more focused can never hurt.
Demetrius Johnson, new topic, is talking about Mighty Mouse versus Dillashaw is the super fight everyone wants. I would have rather seen him versus Cody Garbrandt. Mighty Mouse needs to do a better job of promoting himself, since the UFC has not done a very good job of promoting himself, or of promoting him. Mighty Mouse he's got a wonderful personality. He speaks well. He plays video games. He's got a great online presence, and nobody's pushing him. And he fights exceptional and finishes, and is wonderfully entertaining to watch. it's a in this age of Floyd Mayweather being the most lucrative combat sports athlete, it's strange to see a guy like Mighty Mouse not selling. Man, what do you think of Mighty Mouse versus Dillashaw? Is that the super fight you want to see? What do you think of the promotional job the UFC is doing for Mighty Mouse? I'll let you go first, Travaz.
The way that they disrespect Mighty Mouse as far as not pushing him is really ridiculous, and it shows that they don't appreciate the fighter that they have. Mighty Mouse is constantly putting on good performances. He's constantly showing any young MMA fighter who wants to be a mixed martial arts fighter, wants to get better. He's constantly showing you this is how you should fight. These are the techniques that you should use. You should have this. Check all of these boxes: the cardio, the technique, the takedowns, all that. Mighty Mouse is is the pound for pound in my mind best fighter in the world. He can do everything. He's still, when he's not doing everything, he's reinventing the wheel, freaking putting people in German suplexes, then turning them into arm bars. Like, when do you see that type of stuff happening? And the fact that they don't push him more, it really speaks maybe to the UFC, like them as a whole. I think if he was bigger in a bigger weight class, the guy would be probably a star. He's not too brash. He doesn't really, have that persona of, calling people out or talking that much. But he's trying to do it because he sees that's what sells, is getting Conor McGregor millions. So I'm sure Mighty Mouse deserves millions too. He has the defense record. Like, you need to show him some more respect, at least before he decides to, up and walk away or something like that. But as far as him versus Dillashaw, that matchup, I think once again that Mighty Mouse is going to school Dillashaw. I mean, Dillashaw he has that style about him, that Dominic Cruz style, and granted, Mighty Mouse lost to Dominic Cruz when they
shouldn't
fought.
have beat Garbrandt, man. That's my thing. He shouldn't.
I don't think so either. I think Garbrandt was. I think Cody was getting a little above his britches because he started doing that whole dancing thing when he caught him a few good times too. I don't think he would just stayed in the moment. But I think Mighty Mouse destroys Dillashaw and makes it look easy. Like, Mighty Mouse is the complete package. The complete package.
Yeah, Dave, what do you think about all this?
I agree with Travaz again. He definitely getting disrespected by the organization. He's definitely not as brash as some guys like Conor. He's very likable. Like you said, he has an online presence. He's getting some of those Metro PCS ads and stuff, but he's just on another level, man. Just to watch that guy, like, he's technical, but he's technical in the most exciting way too. He'll pick an opponent apart and like he did to Ray Borg when he suplexed him into the armbar, or the way he fucking crippled Cejudo with the knees to the body. Like, he finds new ways to win. He just always, I feel like every fight he has, even when it's just a master class or a clinic, it's just exciting to watch. When he beat the hell out of Wilson Hayes, like, he doesn't have boring fights, and he's definitely one of the most complete fighters I think I've ever seen. And if he beats Dillashaw, then there's no reason that this organization shouldn't be pushing him as their star. They've got to, like, they keep looking for the next star, and they've got a star. How they get the marketing and everything behind them, that's for the UFC to decide and for the UFC to figure out. But they've got a star. They don't need a star in the making. They don't need a hype train like Ngannou. They got to put their money or their backing behind a guy who's already established and a guy who's absolutely wiped out his division.
I don't know, man. The UFC does a lot of things that don't make sense. Let's look at one thing that didn't make sense. Timothy Johnson has to set up a GoFundMe to get his cornerman to Brazil. This is absolutely a travesty. UFC just sold for what, $4 billion, $4.5 billion, and they can't spend a couple $1,000s to get his cornerman up to Brazil for his next fight. So it's what, $7,500. This is shameful. This is not gonna make fighters want to sign with this organization. I mean, the UFC is no longer necessarily the ticket to get to fame. You can fight for Bellator. You can fight for international organizations. Back in the day, UFC was the only fight in town. And they keep doing shit like this. People aren't going to be excited to sign with them. Travas Clark, what do you think of these cost-cutting tactics by the UFC?
It just shows, one, that the UFC doesn't really care about its fighters unless you're, one of the major names. Who are you to the UFC? You're just an employee there. So I mean, it's definitely a shame that he needs help, or that he's not even getting paid well enough to get his cornerman to Brazil. I miss the days, of course, in the UFC where you could wear whatever sponsor you wanted to wear on your shorts or have them hanging up on the banners. But now it's just Reebok. And now the Reebok, apparently their pay system, I don't know if it's changed, but their pay system is like a tiered system. So it depends on your ranking what you get. And I know one fighter put on, at least he commented or responded on Twitter to Timothy Johnson saying, well, why does he need like 4 cornermen? It's either like how to fight or you don't. You can get by with 1 or 2 being there and just not have to do something like this, which is set up a GoFundMe. And I guess in that sense, you are the fighter. If you can go do that. But I mean, I guess it's at the same time you want your team there, because that team is also putting in the work or contributing towards your success. So I mean, you want to relish in the glory with them, or you want to either lose with that. So I mean, your team is what's closest to you, especially during a fight camp. So I mean, you can hear both sides of it, but the point is really that UFC really doesn't care about its fighters. Unless you're somebody, then you're nobody until you prove that you're somebody.
Well, a lot of these up and comers, they're not gonna want to deal with this shit, man.
Yeah, that's why Bellator is honestly, that's why Roy McDonald left. He can get his own sponsors and stuff like that. I know he made $54,000 for that fight against, I think, Robbie Lawler, but I think he just made over like $500K or something like that with that one fight against Lima, and that's just with his sponsors and his pay, and it's like the difference is vast, and that's why.
Yeah, it's very unprofessional looking. It's supposed to be the top fighting organization in the world. The young superstars are supposed to be excited about coming up as well. They're not supposed to think, well, until I'm at the top of the card, I don't matter. They'll go somewhere else where they do matter, if that's going to be the case. Michael Bisping is stewing over possibly taking a retirement fight or not. I don't know. He was really excited to take a retirement fight a month or two ago, but his family is telling him to hang up the gloves after they seen what Gastelum did to him, I guess. And he's already got one bad eye. They say, Bisping, you do this again, you're gonna have 2. Dave, what do you think? Should Bisping hang up the gloves? I think he should get one more fight against a can, go out on the high tide and call it quits. But I don't think he should be fighting anybody serious. They're gonna whip his ass probably.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think they've got to give him a can, let him retire in London. I think it's time for Cyclops to hang up the gloves. He had a good he had a good run. He held on to that championship for dear life for as long as he could. I mean, listen, he recreated his career later on in life by winning the title off Luke Rockhold, defending it off Henderson. GSP did us all a favor, took the belt off of him and vacated it, so the division could get moving along. But I think he's done his service. He's been a company guy. He's been loyal to an organization that seems like they're not loyal to most of their fighters. So I think if they want to do right by him, I think they give him a can in London, let him go out with a knockout or a sub or some type of finish, and just let him ride off into the sunset.
Divine Prodigy, what do you think of this whole thing?
I think, when family comes talking to you about retirement, that's one thing you should take seriously, because, of course, they're worried about your health. Of course, you're worried about your health too, but your family more so. They're watching. You're in there fighting, but they're watching what's happening to you. And I'm sure they watched him get knocked out by Kelvin Gastelum and how horrible it looked and how horrible it actually was. And they're just trying to look out for him. I mean, he's getting up there in age. He has one eye. He's been knocked out now recently, and I think like this past like 2 or something like that. I mean, and it's just like I know that you want to go out, guns blazing and all of that, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for your mind and your body mentally and physically. And I mean, if he feels he can still fight, then do you, as long as you feel right doing it. But you can't keep feeling that way and getting knocked out. That's insanity. As far as a can, for London, that'll be a perfect send-off fight. Perfect place, in front of his Manchester fans and all of that. And it could have been Vitor Belfort, I know, but he said that's 0% chance of that happening because of his past drug test. But I think that fight would be the perfect fight because he would probably beat the hell out of Vitor now. Vitor is off the stuff. He can't really, he doesn't really have it anymore. And it's like, that you get a win, you avenge a loss that you had, and you get sent off on a high horse. But I don't know. It's really tricky when you're talking about retirement. Most fighters have to know when to hang it up. And I think Bisping still feels he has some juice left. But I don't think you should utilize all of that juice. Just give it one last fight. Give it your all. Beat the guy. Go out on your horse. That's it. But I don't think it should get a can. Don't disrespect Michael Bisping with a can. Give him somebody that's at least has a name.
He don't want to fight Vitor. And, if you hit Vitor, he's going to fall out. I mean,
I don't know why I didn't accept that fight.
And I'm a Vitor Belfort fan, but Jesus, he's like 40 and he's been fighting for the past 21 years. His chin is gone. It's just reality. You get hit 3,000 times and your brain won't take anymore. And Vitor's at that point. So if Michael Bisping doesn't want that, he wants a can too. So a can he must have. Guys, that about does it for the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu for this week, guys. It was excellent. I got to have big ups to my co-instructors, Travas Clark, Dave Mark. Big ups to you guys, but we're not finished yet. I told you, Jimmie RIvera was going to be closing us out, and he will. Number 4 ranked bantamweight in the world right now. He was supposed to fight Marlon Moraes. We talked about that. We talked about his camp switch. I believe his camp switch was due to Marlon Moraes. That's why he kind of stopped training with Frankie Edgar. We talked about all that. Very interesting interview I had with Jimmie RIvera. I hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you guys enroll in the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu. What do I always tell you guys, man? It's free. We got MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast out right now. Black Market Picks, it should be out today. That's out. So, guys, hope you enjoy all the content. And Jimmie RIvera, close us out, man. Jimmie RIvera, welcome to the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu. It is excellent to have you here today. Let's get right into it, Mr. RIvera. You were scheduled to fight Dominick Cruz at UFC 219. He fell out. Then you were scheduled to face John Lineker. He fell out, and you were in a position where Marlon Moraes became the next option. He was tweeting at you, talking about signing a damn contract, all this kind of stuff like this. But apparently you accepted the fight. The bout agreement was sent to Marlon, and he wouldn't accept. What was going on there?
He said when I landed, I had the 2 options to fight him and that December 30th or fight January 20th. So then it became all about weight. So I gave him 2 pounds and 5 pounds and 10 pounds, and he still said no. So after he said no and I was off the card Christmas night, I said, let's fight January 20th. I did a whole fight camp, a couple more weeks won't kill me. He said no again. So they tried to but they tried to have me fight Marlon again sometime in February. I said, I can't. I have a honeymoon coming up. I'm going to enjoy some time with family. You guys are pushing a fight. I gave him 4 times to fight. Gave him 3 different weight classes on the 30th to fight. And then on the 20th, I said we could fight at 35, and he still said no. So at a point, I'm like, how many times does this guy get a fight? He hasn't earned it yet. He's only 2-1 in the UFC, and I'm 5-0. He hasn't earned it. He needs to get some more wins under his belt before he decides to take a fight with someone like me.
So initially if I got this, because this is kind of a confusing story. So initially you were going to accept a fight at a catch weight. He said no. So now you don't want to fight Marlon Moraes anymore. You feel like he has to earn it if he wants it, right?
Yeah, he has to earn it. I mean, I gave him a shot. I gave him 4 tries. He didn't want to do it, so I don't understand. If you want to fight someone, don't call him out on Twitter. He just basically said he wanted to fight me. I said yes, and then he said no. And he had 30th, and then he had 3 extra weeks he could have trained and fight me on the 20th, but he said no. So if he's going to say no, then fuck him.
I don't blame you, brother. I thought that was a very bizarre exchange. You did everything to accommodate him. You're ranked. How many spots are you ranked ahead of him? I haven't looked at the UFC's latest rankings.
Just one now.
Just one?
Just one. I think he's 5th right now, and I'm 4th. The rankings, sometimes you look at it, they don't make sense.
No.
You have some guys ranked before other guys. It doesn't make sense. So I'm ranked one before him. He was ranked, I think, 8 or something, and Dotson was 9. And then all of a sudden he Dotson, then he jumped to 5, and it doesn't make sense. But again, the rankings don't make sense. And I've had people from the UFC told me they don't make sense, so I don't really dwell on them. I think it's really just for someone that's the casual fan to see where the top guys are.
Okay, so if you're not now, we were talking before we started recording, and you were telling me that you used to cross train with Frankie. I remember when the announcers would talk about you, that I think you were coming out of Frankie Edgar's camp, and everybody had wonderful things to say about you and your future, which ended up coming true. You've been absolutely spectacular during your run, but you changed to Tiger Schulman's. A lot of that was based off of Marlon Moraes coming to Frankie Edgar's camp. Could you elaborate on that? You saw yourself fighting him.
I always so how I got to train with Frankie a little bit and Marlon was I always was from Tiger Schulman's, but we were in Brazil after my fight, and Mark Henry, who was their coach, was like, "Yeah, come by the gym." He didn't really know of me. We're like, "All right, cool." I'm like, "Be perfect." And I told my coach, "Let's go," because I had the Faber fight. So Frankie Edgar would be a perfect person to train with to get ready for the Uriah Faber fight. And that's where I went down, where I trained with Frankie, trained with Marlon a bit. And after the Faber fight, I just never cross-trained with them again. And then Marlon got signed, so it's a conflict of interest because, we might have to fight each other in the future. And I stopped cross-training with them. But I was training for Frankie for the Uriah Faber fight. He helped me get ready. I was helping him get ready.
Oh, okay. All right. So you still periodically cross-train with him a little bit?
Nah, not at all.
Not at okay, not so not at all. So you haven't trained with him since the Uriah Faber fight. I'm sorry.
Yep.
If you're not interested in fighting Marlon Moraes, who are you interested in fighting at this point? Who do you have your eyes on?
Well, obviously either Cody or Dom. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I had, if I had to fight Marlon, I had no problem if the UFC guarantees me a title shot next. That's obvious, no problem at all. But if I'm not going to get guaranteed a title shot and they can't put it in writing, and I've been told this numerous times, I want to fight Cody or Dom because you fight one of the former champs, then you guaranteed a title shot. So, there's nothing really to say about it. So that's where my goal is. That's what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? But that's it. I don't really know how to say because the ball's never in any fighter's court. It's always what the UFC wants to do. So the ball's in our court, and I just kind of go with the flow.
I don't know. How many fights do you have left on your UFC contract?
I just did a new contract, and I'm not sure how many I have left. I think 5 or 6, something like that. That's okay. What happened was when the Dom fight got canceled because he got hurt. Then they're like, "Oh, you still want to fight in 30th?" We're like, "Nah, we'll wait for Dom to get better." And then they renegotiated a contract that was really good, and I said, "All right, I'll fight in 30th. I'll fight in 30th."
So you're with the UFC,
there was
for the long haul, then?
What?
You with the UFC for the long haul?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? I just want to, at the end of the day, listen, when I'm champ, I have to fight everybody, and I understand, and that's why I respect Demetrius Johnson so much. Is that he didn't run away for the money fights. He stayed and defended his belt against the whole roster. But right now, I'm not champ. I'm trying to be champ, so I want to fight the best fight that's the best business for Jimmie Rivera. As much as people say this or the fans want this, I got to do what's best for me. Because at the end of the day, no one else is looking out for me except for myself. That's what I got to do.
because my next question was, well, if do you really care about staying with the UFC? Would you ever think about going to Bellator or Rising or another promotion if they offered you for more money?
Well, then if you bring money in that, you don't know if they're going to pay me triple the amount what the UFC pays me, then I got to put food on the table and a roof to keep over my head and my wife's head. So that's a different story. But as of right now, I don't think any organization is going to pay more, and that's better than the UFC. So maybe in the future, but I think Bellator is the only other organization that's kind of come up there is Bellator, but they're nowhere near close to the UFC right now. And then it's true. You see the numbers and you see the business and how they do. You need both companies. It's just right now focus on being the champ.
So yeah. So and then I think my last question before I got to get my fight picks for next week from you was, what do you think, since you said the UFC rankings don't mean anything, do you think it would be good for the commission to step in and start to regulate the rankings and have a titles like the WB, real titles that aren't promotion specific? Because we're seeing that there's great fighters in all the different promotions in the world. Who's the best fighter in the world? We can't know because people aren't doing interpromotional bouts. At least the UFC doesn't. So do you think it'd be a great idea to have commission regulated championship bouts and rankings rather than the leagues doing it themselves?
Well, it would be good for the fighters, but not for the UFC, because at the end of the day, it's a business, and they got to put on those fights that they're going to bring in income for. So at the end of the day, it's a 50-50, thing. It's great for the fighters, but not great for the UFC. I know recently last year I saw they were, going and trying to have the Ali Act in the UFC, and I think they're still fighting that, the UFC. I think they're still trying to get that act in there. But, it's a 50. It's great for us fighters, but it's not great for the UFC.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome answer. Mr. Rivera, thank you for coming to the School of Black Negro Jiu-Jitsu today. Hope to have you on back soon, but I want you to stay on the line. I got to get your fight picks from you. If you have any shout outs, sponsors, or anything like that, go ahead and do that right now.
Yeah, I'd like to just thank always my sponsors, Nutriball Supplements, Eat Clean Bro, Meal Prepping Me, Getting Me Ready, and Tiger Fight Gear.